Peace and light, beautiful souls. This is Dr. Lori with Still Whole Wellness, trusting that this video is finding you all well and at peace. I have the amazing Ali with me. She is a sound healer. She is a Kundalini yoga instructor. She is an energy intuitive healer. She's got so many titles. She's a mom, and I'm happy to call her friend. Welcome, Ali. How are you?
I'm great. Hi, everyone.
So we have been trying to to do this interview for 2 weeks,
Yeah, 2 weeks.
right? And there have been so many different things that have come and prevented us from being able to do that. But we're here today. So I'm really happy that it's like actually happening today. So tell everyone what the significance of today is.
Yeah, so I think it's like the most day to be coming together because it's a winter
Absolutely.
it's a winter solstice, and today is the shortest like day as far as like the sunlight, and it is the perfect day to release anything we've been holding on to, anything that we've been shedding. So
Mm,
those old patterns and just whatever it is can come to completion on
yeah.
the day. So like today is perfect. It's
Yeah.
a day.
It is the perfect day. So, and we've been talking over the last couple of weeks and just kind of sharing, and I absolutely agree with you 150% that today is definitely the perfect day for all this because both of us have been um, experiencing some of that energy of shedding and releasing, and we've been able to kind of share about that over the last couple of days. So I do want to get into that, but before we get into that, I always ask the guests to share how we came into knowing each other.
Yes. So we met it's funny because when we were speaking about the story before, it was like, how did we find each
Right.
other? But I was led to it was a talk that you were co-hosting with Suzanne for
Hmm.
incest awareness. And I landed there by an invitation from my friend Claire, who is a mutual friend of ours, who
Hmm.
has an organization, Empowered Voice. And that's how I ended up there randomly.
Right.
Right. I think I answered a question or something, or I don't know, something, but Lori and I, like, we both just connected.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. So yeah, so you're right. So it was I think it was like an advocacy circle or something like that for incest aware. Suzanne Izaza, who is an amazing or amazing leader of incest aware, she asked if I would do like an opening meditation and just kind of clearing the space before we started that meeting. And you just so randomly, like you said, happened to be there. And I'll tell you what, as soon as I heard you say during your introduction that you were a sound healer, I was like, boom. We need to connect because and it was really like the timing of it all was so incredibly divine because I was just telling my family like literally days before that really want to find a sound healer that's close by that I can connect with, and then the universe just like kind of dropped you in my path so beautifully. So I'm so grateful we've been able to connect, and the friendship that we've been establishing over the last what probably about 6 months to a
Yeah.
year, something
Mhm.
like that. It really has just been amazing. I think it has been just about a year actually.
Met like in May. It was like around.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Wow. So I'm just glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're here. So, Ali, so one of the reasons why we connected during that interview with Incest Aware is because we both have sexual trauma in our background. Can you kind of share with everyone how that has come about for you?
Yeah. So it's actually, it was really quite suppressed. And with as an energy healer, it started with my Reiki probably about 4 years ago that I started having these, not memories yet, but just the people that would like, the people that I was facilitating for would have these traumatic uh, episodes come in when I was working on them. And I was just kind of questioning, like, what is this energy, this shared energy? And I kept on, like, I felt something in my body, right? It's like my body was speaking to me, but I couldn't quite put it all together because I hadn't had like any visual memories. But I knew something was off. And so in May, so around May is when I started having my inner child actually I started having memories in my meditations. And I started, like, through my artwork, like my inner child literally started speaking to me about something that happened in early childhood. So, yeah.
And so this is why I find your story to be so fascinating. And I'll be honest, I've only met two other people that share kind of a similar story where you're not able to, like, readily recall your accuser or even the actual assault, but energetically you could feel and sense that something had taken place. So tell us about, like, kind of that unfolding, and what was your first response to all of that? Because that's pretty heavy.
Yeah. So the first response is, what was interesting. So, like, I think I shared the story. I ended up, when I was on, I was invited by a friend to Claire's event, which is, I think, like 2 weeks probably before that you and I met.
Okay.
And right prior to that, like, I had a really weird incident happen, like, where there was like a violating kind of energy with an older gentleman, but it kind of like put me into that feeling again in my body, and like of something just wasn't quite right. And so it was worth investigating. I guess, like, I had to, like, it takes an incredible amount of trust, because I'm like, okay, I keep on having these incidences come into my, like, field to heal. And what is my body trying to tell me here? Like, what is it that I'm healing from? And I have to really trust, because the memories, right? My inner child and what she's telling me, am I making this up? Right? I'm making this up. Is it some kind of story that I've fabricated for attention? Is it something like are my memories real? Because I'm dealing with like 1.5 to 2 years old. Like, I'm little, fuzzy. But my body is like, no, something happened. Like, something happened. And so it was just like this incredible trust.
Wow. I'm like in amazement, because, obviously with being sexually violated, trust is like such a huge piece of that pie. And so I'm just like thinking, like, yeah, that is most certainly incredible trust. What was that process like for you to distinguish, yes, this is real, and, and that trusting piece? Like, how were you able to get to that level of trust? It's like,
I think I'm still, I mean, as we were talking about this, right? Like, letting go and releasing everything, right? Like that, anything that isn't complete, I'm literally completing it as we're interviewing, right? But it's like, it's still, it's just a process of, again, of trust, but of that body's like innate wisdom. And I think, like, with this, like, the biggest piece for me is not moving through it too fast.
Okay.
Aware, right? Like, it's like being aware of the feelings, being aware of, I don't want to, like, get stuck into things, but just, it's hard to even put into words. But I've been working with this somatic body healer, and when he works with me, it's like he's getting into, there's like literally like stuck patches of energy in my body, like in my organs, and like almost fear that I've been holding. And when he works on me, that's when, like, the memories come forth more and more. And it's really like the emotions, what happened. I believe it was like more of like the meaning, whatever meaning like a 2-year-old, like a 1.5-year-old makes, but it's like this, it's like it's forgiveness. And again, like knowing, like, and even if, right, like even if things are fuzzy or whatever, it's allowing those feelings to surface and to express them.
Mm.
Because
And
the expression, it's a form of expression that was shut off.
yeah. And that just in and of itself, of course, is extremely cathartic. How does your family respond to all of this? Have you shared this with your family?
So I've shared up to age, I had some memories at 2.5, and I shared those memories with my family.
Mm-hmm.
They don't remember. My dad doesn't remember. Like
Mm-hmm.
I shared the memories up to that point. But that's like earlier than 2.5. It's really kind of like the feelings that are coming up, but not actual images.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so that's where I've gotten to this point.
Mm-hmm. And then, so how do you handle yourself, like on a, oh gosh, um, maybe on a spiritual level? Like, how do you take care of yourself with not having these, very clear recollections, but having that energy piece of feeling that there's been a violation? What do you do with that spiritually?
Yeah, so spiritually, that's like such a great question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spiritually, it's going back, it's connecting to like our true source, right? So our true source is love, and our
Mm-hmm.
true source is light. And did I share? I haven't shared. Like I forget if I shared with you my window, like the window that came in, the
No.
with the window.
Yeah, see, and you have all these beautiful stories. So I really want you to just feel free to just take your time, because you have some good, really powerful stories.
It's a really beautiful, powerful story. And
They really are. So
yeah,
take your time, just talk.
I will. Okay, so I worked, as all of this literally is still unfolding. I had a session with Claire a couple weeks ago, like
Okay.
2.5 weeks ago.
And for clarification, Claire, she is the owner of Empowered Voice, and she
Yeah.
does the
And she does healing through art.
healing
So
through arts.
sexual trauma through art. So we had a session, a Reiki session, and she took me into meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I started like, and the whole thing with the somatic body healer and the session with Claire was like to get back into my body. So I just wanted to explain that to everyone who's watching, like, especially like with these like foggy, right? Like fuzzy memories and things that are coming in. It's to go back to the body, to connect to the body, and to come to that safe place so I can remember more, so I can express more and release. And so she brought me to at that point, the earliest memory was 2.5. Since then,
Okay.
it's gone to around 1.5, but
Mm-hmm.
2.5. And then I saw I had a lot of discomfort in my solar plexus, like just a lot of like stuck energy around there, and a lot of anger and sadness came in. And so she was like, well, do you see anything?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a window. It was presented to me like a window over my solar plexus. And there was like in the middle of the window, there was just like a window pane, like a white
Mm-hmm.
window pane, like separating two scenes. And on
Okay.
the top scene was the sun, like a sunset, like purple and pink, like really bright colors.
Okay.
And then it was the window pane. And then on the bottom was this like rusty, almost like burgundy, reddish brown, like just with no movement, kind of like muddy color.
Okay.
underneath. And so what I equated these two was like the new energy, like the new light. And sunsets also, they, the spiritual meaning, it's like a completion. It's like completing the old, but then the sunrise, right? So it's like continuing of like that new energy. And then on the bottom was just like this old energy. So then my inner child came into play as we're in this meditative state. And she was like, she's like, I need to open the window. I need to open the window to get some light. And it was stuck. And so she like took a baseball and threw it at the window. And it like kind of broke a little bit. It didn't break, dented. And then so she took a baseball bat and then struck the window. And then the same thing, like nothing broke. And so then Claire asked me, she's like, well, what if you like, oh, and then she took a golf club and then she got she broke a little bit of the window. And so then Claire's like, what if she's like, where is she hitting the window? I'm like, from underneath. She's like, well, it goes into the light. So then my inner child went into the light and struck the golf club and the window shattered. And so it was like 3/4 of the window opened up. And this like purple and like this pink energy went into like the older energy and started like kind of integrating with it. Integrating, like the light was integrating with the dark. And then it started to go into all the areas of my body, like my organs. And I've been holding like energy in certain parts of my body, fear. And the purple and pink started like integrating, getting like chills as I'm telling you.
This is amazing. And
so the beautiful thing is I've been reading The Artist's Way, which is for, a lot of people know the book, but it's by Julie Cameron. It's this coming back into like connection with your inner artist. And so one of the things, she has like these artist dates. So on Sunday, I went and bought, like I went to the art store as my artist date, and then I got like all these art supplies. And so I'm going to build this like window, but basically like out of clay. So as I'm like sculpting, I'm like literally integrating this vision that I had. And so that's my project for this week.
I love it. I love that. I love hearing about just other people's ways of, their approach to their healing. And so you bring in that art perspective is really, really nice. I'm trying to figure out like where I want to go from here. I think I would like for you to share the butterfly story.
Yes.
Can you share the butterfly story?
Yes, of course I can.
Okay.
So I moved into my place that I'm in now, probably, 3.5 years ago. Right after the butterfly story happened. So it was in the summer, and my kids, they were with their dad in New York for a couple of weeks, and I was here in Santa Monica, and I was dating someone. It wasn't serious, but like I knew I needed to break it off. So I met him at this like little like cafe by my house, and so I knew I needed to break it off. So I ended up breaking it off. And as I'm walking away, I'm just like, it was just like about me trying to fix this person. And like, there was just like not a lot of like balance in our relationship. And literally around the corner, I see this young man, and he has like, and I noticed his eyes. Like, it was just like when, like we knew each other. Like I knew this person, even though I didn't know him. It was just like this radar. So I like went right up to him, like the energy, and he has a butterfly like on his wrist. I was like, oh, that's such a beautiful butterfly. I'm like, and then I'm like, what is the butterfly trying to tell you? I'm like, I'm like, what is the message for you from the butterfly? Like who has conversations like that? But so I'm asking him, and he's
but
like,
you knew that he would get it.
I knew, right? I knew he would get it. And then he looked at me and he was like, the message isn't for me. The message is for you. And he takes the butterfly off his hand and puts it on my like right hand. And he's like, it's time for you to spread your wings and fly. And or open your wings and fly. And so I was like, okay, whatever. Spiritual, like I live in such a spiritual world. So I'm like walking down the road. I'm going to my friend's house to like water her plants. And then I realized that the butterfly, it's kind of still. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the right wing is like he's injured. And I was just like, oh, damn it, right? Like I get a busted butterfly.
Right.
Another thing I have to fix. I'm like,
right.
Fix the butterfly. So I take the butterfly and I like put it on the grass, and then like I walk away, and then I'm just like, I can't leave the butterfly. Like it's not like the wings hurt. So like I went back, all this guilt. I put the butterfly back on my wrist. I'm like doing Reiki on the butterfly as I'm walking, and I get to my friend's house and there's like a rose bush. And so I put the butterfly underneath. I put it with the roses, Reiki. I'm like, I'm not gonna try to fix everything. I'm going to trust that the butterfly is going to be okay and that he will be able to fly. And so I like leave the butterfly. I walk all the way back to like my house, opening the door and like get into my house. And then my daughter like calls from New York and she's like, hey, Mom, what do you do about a butterfly with a hurt wing? What? What are you talking about?
Right. This is why I love this. Like you can't make this stuff up.
You can't make this stuff up. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, Mom, I was on the beach and I was walking. This woman had a butterfly. She was like on her arm. And she gave it to me, and it has a hurt left wing. And she's like, and the thing is, it was like at the same time from coast to coast. And I was like, they're both these monarch butterflies. I'm crazy. And so her butterfly, like so my butterfly, like I had to trust that it would be okay. And her butterfly, she actually was like, her message that she got was like to take care of the butterfly's wing and then to re-release it. So it was like that feminine and that masculine, the right and the left, and bringing that to balance. And so that's what came in. And so the beautiful thing is like the Christmas Day, I'm going up with a girlfriend up, and my kids are going to be with their dad again in Hawaii. But I'm going up to San Luis Obispo, where they have the monarch butterflies migrate, and it's like 3 times the amount this year. And so I'm like bringing in that completion energy with the butterflies.
That is so beautiful. So, okay, so there is. We both take a very different. I think we got to talk about the butterfly in the room, right? We both take a very spiritual approach to healing, and it's beautiful that you share that story, because we can literally find, if we're looking, right, if we're looking and if we're present, we can literally find where the universe and where our spirit guides are guiding us towards our healing and towards the things that can heal us. But again, we have to be paying attention, right? And trusting that what we're seeing is exactly what is there, and is exactly, it's for us, it's for our journey, it's for our expansion. What do you say to people that do you ever get criticized for taking this approach to your healing?
Not really criticized. I mean, some, like even my children at times will be like, and certain friends are like, you got to come down and ground, right? Like you got to ground. And that is like something I work on a lot, because when I'm up there, I'm like, am I really right? Like down here too, like grounded. But that's like the only thing I really hear sometimes is just like, come down and ground, come like ground more, to like integrate that, the spiritual with the earthly realm.
Yeah, it is definitely a balance. But it's so interesting. I was literally last night talking to one of my very best friends. In fact, I'd love for the three of us to get on a call together. I know that conversation would be like out of this world. But she's one of the few people in my life, like you, that I'm able to freely discuss, this type of stuff with. And she was asking me, we talk a lot about God energy, and so I was telling her, I said, there, along my journey, there was like a couple of things that were happening simultaneously. And one was, the, for lack of better phraseology, the stepping away from Christianity, and stepping into spirituality, and beginning to understand what all of that means for me now, and all this kind of stuff. And then I was healing from sexual trauma, like just starting out on the journey, like all at the same time. And so it was really interesting and beautiful how that all played out for me, because I found the two paths to intersect at some point, and in a very beautiful and magical way, and really helped to support the overall healing. So I know that our children are like, oh, you got to come back down to the ground, and it does take that balance. But there's something, dare I say, addictive almost about the process. Like I've become like so in awe of it, and looking for all these different synchronicities, and it all is just so fascinating to me. Like half the time I don't even know like where to start, because there's so many nuggets of wisdom, so many.
There's so much when we pay attention, right? And like that's the fun too, is like that magic, like when we're in the moment, and like butterfly moments. And just when I'm like really into animals, so like just I always call them my animal totems, but I just constantly am getting messages from animals and angels and things like that. So, yeah.
What do you, because one of the things we were talking about last night with my friend is the integration, if I want to say it that way, I think I want to say it that way, of the light and the dark, the fellowship almost with the light and the dark, and becoming very comfortable with acknowledging that they both reside in me, and allowing them to not be in conflict with each other. Allowing them to be within me in perfect harmony. Like, what do you say to that?
That is the journey, like literally with the window, like in my body. I feel like that's what I'm going through right now. Like I've been holding some interesting like energies like that haven't been quite flowing in my body. And so like right now I'm in that integration right now. I'm integrating the light and the dark. And you're right, it's all part of us. And I think for a while it was uncomfortable. So I separated it. Separated it, like what I separated them. And now I'm opening that space for them to come into that balance and that harmony. And that's like the beauty of the embodiment work.
So talk to us, you mentioned earlier about the inner child. Talk to us a little bit about what that entity is for those who maybe are unfamiliar.
Inner child. Yeah. So the inner child, it's just like an aspect of ourselves. Like we have all these stages, all these ages, that we've been in this body. And so like for me, when I talk about my inner child healing from sexual trauma. It's like this 2-year-old to like 3-year-old, year and a half year old, three and a half year old self. So a piece of her wasn't able to express herself fully. So it's like going back into time in a way and like healing that piece where she didn't feel like that full expression.
Mm-hmm.
The inner child to me is just like, and then there are times where my inner child will come into play where she's completely, I mean, we're whole and complete, where she's completely joyful and happy. Mm-hmm. And then, so it's working, but it's working with like specific like ages of where she'll come in and like show me things, she'll tell me things, but it's this healing process. And it's like tapping into what I need, like my body's needs, and like anything that got stuck or not expressed in the body. Mm-hmm. That makes sense at all?
Yeah, it makes absolute sense. And so, it's one of the things that I try and do with my clients is going back and doing that inner child work, where that inner child is heard, their feelings are validated, right? They're allowed to, and the space is created for them to express themselves, whatever that needs to be. And to know that they're seen and that they're, like you said, that they're whole, right? Because, and this is what makes this work so impactful for so many survivors, is because, and Claire and I, we talked about this as well, when you're going to like traditional therapy, as I'm sure we both have, done, it's beneficial, no doubt. It definitely has its rightful place in the healing journey, but there is something that it just is, like the young kids are saying now, it hits different. When once you start to tap into the energy part, once you start to go back and heal that inner child and healing those wounds, it's something that it taps into a space that counseling, at least for me anyway, it just didn't. And to bring in the spiritual part of it, because of course in the African American community, we're taught that everything you need is in God. Everything that you need is in church. And so, this, my father is a Baptist preacher. So, church was definitely that foundation for me. But when I was going to church, I wasn't finding what I needed. When I was going to the God that was presented to me, right, that wasn't giving me what I needed. And so it was such a struggle and such a process to an acceptance now, to restructure the God that was presented to me to make it work for the healing that I now need to do. It was like I had to come to a whole nother area of belief about who God was. My fellowship with that entity, it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. And it, like I said, it just like wove it all together so magically, where it was like I was healing multiple things at once. I was healing sexual trauma. I was healing that inner child. I was healing spiritual trauma. Some people don't think that's a real thing, but that is a real thing. And it was all coming together at once. It was a lot. It was a lot, but I'm glad that I'm here. And now it's like I want more of it. Like I'm just like you. This is why our connection is like what it is, because we're both like constantly on the lookout for like, okay, what am I healing from today? Like, what piece of this do I get to understand a little bit better today?
And I think, I so resonate with what you were saying too, because I feel like that is like the same for me. It was that spiritual piece, like healing that spiritual piece, the sexual trauma piece, and the inner child. Mm-hmm. And what I wanted to bring into it was like our ancestral lineage. So it was like, not only, right, did this happen to me, this has happened to like my grandmother, like my father, like it's just like a whole line of traumas. And as I heal that like 7 generations before me, right? And then I'm healing the generations to come. Like I'm healing my grandchildren who will be born. Like, so it's just all of this at once is like a lot, but it's like so beautiful.
So doesn't that make you feel like super special, right? To like be the one, right? To heal before you and after you, and to heal yourself. Don't you feel like
powerful.
Right?
It's powerful, but then we have to be really, because as you know, because you've gone through the healing and we're still like letting go. There's like that last, wait, what was I saying yesterday? Like the threads that are like on the, we're cutting those last threads. But it's like really taking care of ourselves, because it is an enormous amount of energetic energy that we're clearing. So it's like, I just have to be really cognizant of taking care of myself as much as I can as I'm doing all this energy clearing.
And you said that a few days ago that you had gotten even a message from me, and it had something to do with the ancestral piece. Can you share that with everybody?
Yeah. So it was, when was it? Maybe a week ago, because
I think so.
Yeah, you got a cold and you're like going through something. I mean, like releasing something physically. And yeah, the message I got was that it's like, it's not just your physical cold, that these symptoms, literally, it's like from your lineage, like stuff, issues, like the trauma, just everything that you're clearing for good. Like it, and as we clear like the deepest root, right? It's like going to the deepest root and then coming back up through the light, like bring that light like through. And like that's what you're doing. You're literally going up like this. And so it's like letting go, like physically, of anything, because again, we are in a physical body. We've stored a lot of these, like this wounding in our body. So I feel like for you, for me, for a lot of us, we're just, as the light, as we're doing this work, it's releasing anything physical that we've been holding in.
Beautiful. Yeah. And I definitely received that. You know, I think I've shared with you before that my mom, my grandmother, great grandmother, to my knowledge, were all survivors of sexual trauma. And so, you know, for me, I can't even lie. For me, it is a very big responsibility, but one that I welcome. You know, I'm just like, yeah, I'm here for it. I'm ready. Let's do it. You know, and it feels very, very good. If this side of and this is, I know, probably super controversial for some people, but this side of sexual trauma, it feels really good.
Well, as you come,
As you, yes, as you get to that ascend, yeah, it feels really nice.
And what I also wanted to mention, which is coming in like just with the transmissions in the last couple of weeks, is as we continue to clear that, when you think of like from a DNA like point, like we carry these genes through family lines. We're like cleansing all of that. Our DNA, we are repairing our DNA. So when you think of like just anything that, I don't know, that's malaligned in the body, that we, again, it's not just in this lifetime, it's what we're holding from our lineage. So DNA. So as we go to that deepest root and come back up, we're clearing all that. So literally, like, we can live in this like crystalline form. We'll not have the ailments that we've been carrying. None of our, like, it's gone.
Yeah.
None of our children will carry any of that. So it's like, that's like the beautiful feeling as you come up, because you're like, whoa, like this has like been a crazy journey, like
Mm-hmm.
God, like, but now I see what we've been doing. We've been
Yeah.
cleaning all of that. So we could like live in this like state of being able to kind of hold the light for others who are going through this, and
Yeah.
to let go of all of that,
Yeah.
baggage.
And you're so right, because, just as this journey was starting for me, um, and you've shared the same about your own journey, just as it was starting, all of a sudden, like all this physical stuff start started to physically manifest, all these physical ailments where I'm just like, child, I had never been to the hospital so many times in all my life. It was crazy. Like I really thought that something was like really off, and if something was off, like that cleansing was happening. Um, and you've kind of expressed the same about your own journey, where all these different physical ailments will, because that energy is releasing itself, because it's trying to purge itself from your system, from your energy field, you're going to feel it somatically.
Yeah.
Crazy. Crazy. It was a rough
right?
ride.
That's where the trust comes. And I'm, as you know, my journey, I'm still like, I'm much better, but I'm still like letting go of that last piece. So it's like that physical, but it's like, whoa, like I'm understanding it now. And so that's like the greatest gift of it. I'm like, oh, this is just cleansing everything. Like
everything.
It's cleansing it all out.
Yeah. It really feels good though. I am accepting that I have a very different, or maybe it's not that different. I don't know. It feels like it's different and quite possibly controversial perspective of this healing. And that is that it needed to happen. It was an ugly, very dark, and very low vibrational situation that needed to happen for me to understand this piece of myself, for me to be able to very boldly walk into the knowing and that trust, right? That I am God and that I have the ability to heal myself, to heal past versions of myself, to heal future versions of myself. I have that. And there was no way for me to get to here from where I was at had I not gone through what I went through. There was just, this was the path. This was it. And so it's that acceptance, that this is what it is for me. And it feels damn good. Like, I don't know, because like I share all the time, like, I felt so like dirty. I felt so just broken and wrong and ugly and discarded and just everything as yucky as you could possibly imagine. That is the way that I was living my life for so long. And that's what I call survival mode. I was still working. I completed a bachelor's degree, had a couple kids. Like I was still like, I was in survival mode. And to people from the outside, it just looked like, oh, that's just Lori just living her life. She's got a couple illnesses, couple ailments, but that's just life. No one really understood what was going on spiritually and energetically. I didn't even understand it, but
years.
but it's like it all had to happen. It all had to happen for me to get to this space now where I finally look in the mirror and I'm like, boom. Yeah, girl, you it. I did not have that. It was nothing close to that before. And not like in an arrogant way, but just an awareness and assuredness that like I'm okay. Just this very version of me right here is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So grateful. So incredibly grateful. You're awesome. You're so awesome. You're going to make me cry, Ali.
But I'm crying.
I'm not crying. You're crying. Wow, this
Very
this is
special. We have a very special connection.
we
So,
really do. We
mhm.
really, really do. I love this version. I love this this process. You know, religion had its place as well, just as counseling did. But this right here, this is it for me.
Yeah,
This is the completion.
this is the completion.
This is the completion. Yeah. So talk to us a little bit more about the completion energy. I want to make sure that people like really, after listening to this, like really understand what that is.
So I'm just going to what's coming in right now. And after you just shared that. So completion energy to me is because I'm literally like completing on this interview is accepting all of the parts of ourselves. Like for me to accept like the ugliness, to accept the fear, to accept the rage, accept the like pissed offness and disappointment. And what's coming in, right, is just like that like self-righteousness and then the joy and the celebration and the like happiness and just all the feelings, like the entire scope, like able to stand in all the emotions, range of everything that has happened up to this point and accept it, love.
Yeah.
That
My
completion.
That's it.
And like then we're able to forgive ourselves. It's all about forgiveness.
Yeah. Yeah. And realizing that some of the things that we have been battling and struggling with forgiving ourselves for, it was never meant for it to be seen as wrong. Yeah. So if it's not meant to be seen as wrong, then what are we battling to try and forgive? It's all right.
All right.
It's all right.
There was nothing ever wrong.
I know some people don't like it, don't want to hear it, and they want to keep blaming their accuser, and that wasn't working for me. I can only speak for myself in my journey. That was not beneficial for me. It kept me in that ugly, angry, depressive, anxiety-filled space. Like I couldn't move from that spot as long as I looked at it from that perspective. I couldn't move from it.
You can't. And it's like, it's about finding that compassion for the other person. And it's finding that compassion for the other person because of whatever wounding they're carrying. You know, that's how they showed up to heal. When we show compassion, I know, and again, it's not always the most popular, like, right? Like, but it's like when we show compassion for that person and we're able to forgive that person, it truly does set us free and allows us to come into that compassion with ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. You know who taught me that the best is someone who's not even here anymore. Not even on this side. My mom transitioned a couple years ago. And Ali, when I tell you, I was like so incredibly angry with this woman. Oh my gosh. Like, and, you know, going back to that forgiveness, like there were so many things that I was like even putting on her that wasn't her. But, you know, just that ego side of myself needed somebody to blame and say you're wrong. Right. But I was so angry with her. And just the most beautiful and most magical thing happened when she transitioned, where it was like literally like all these downloads just started coming like out of nowhere, you know, where I was able to then understand that forgiveness and just let go of that anger, you know, just let it go, because again, like you can't give what you don't have, right? there were things that I thought that I needed. And this is so amazing. There were things that I thought that I needed, one, and there were also things that I thought that I needed from her because society said she's your mom, she's supposed to be giving you X, Y, and Z. I hadn't even opened up my eyes and saw, yeah, I'm not getting it from her, but I'm so blessed because I've got this beautiful tribe of women around me where I am getting it, just not getting it from the person that society says I'm supposed to be getting it from. So I was able to, once she transitioned, I was able to let all of that anger go, um, all of that fear, because that's really what it boiled down to, fear of not having connection with her, right? I was able to let all of that stuff go. It was really like the most oddest thing ever because it literally happened like boom. Like there was one moment where I was very angry and furious, and then there was just a moment where I just wasn't. I just allowed it to be exactly what it was.
That's exactly what it is. It's allowing it to be exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Or is. And it's like this wash of forgiveness, it's just love.
Yeah.
That moment.
Yeah. I absolutely forgive her to this day. I forgive everything. Like, and there's things now that I look back and I'm like, I don't even know if I needed to be mad about that. you know, like I don't even know if that was even like her doing or yeah, that was a lot, but it needed to happen again. It needed to happen. And I trust that she knows that I have forgiven her, you know, even though she's not here in this physical form. She knows.
She knows because
yeah,
you said we still have a relationship with everyone. It's just in a different way, different form.
absolutely. She and I are still in communion with each other. We still fellowship with one another daily, you know. So you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's not in the same way, but it doesn't end. The body dies, the energy never dies.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Is there anything final that you would like to share with the viewers for today? If there's like just a negative wisdom that you want to leave people with, what would that be?
I feel like everything has been said, right? Like I'm still marinating from the conversation that we just had, right? Just now. And
yeah.
Again, I think it's just like surrendering to what is.
Mm-hmm.
Like surrendering to what is in each and every moment. And like back with one thing that's coming in is like with the inner child, like knowing that we can reparent. I mean, really, it is like kind of reparenting ourselves is whatever that we didn't get in any stage, we can give ourselves that love.
Absolutely.
Moment.
And then if you are a parent, being intentional about giving that very thing to your children when they are at that stage. That's another level of that completion, right? Mm-hmm. This is beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you took your time out to sit with me today. I'm very, very grateful. Very grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to mention that we'll be doing work together.
Yes.
In future. So we'll be kind of debuting all these skills for others to through their completions.
Absolutely. I'm excited for that as well. I know that nothing ever happens by chance. And I know that our connecting was definitely not an accident. You know, we're definitely meant to do some great work together to help other people to get to this beautiful, beautiful side of things. Yeah. If people are wanting to connect with you, I don't know if you have any events that are coming up immediately. If you want to share that information, how people can contact you.
Yeah. So you were at my friend Sarah's home. Her lovely. Yes. We are going to be doing a sound healing, kind of like a toning circle. So we'll be doing some of this work with this like DNA repair. Voices, and then there's going to be a sound healing and like dessert and cacao ceremony and all that on January 8th, which is Saturday, January 8th, I think like around 5 p.m. So that is on January 8th. And there'll be other things in January, but that's what's coming into my field right now.
Okay, well, I'm definitely going to have to put that on my calendar because I don't want to miss that. I definitely don't want to miss that.
Yeah, half the proceeds are going to be going to, I'm not exactly sure the organization, but I would like to donate to, as I call it, brain health, mental health for teenagers and youth.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any other events upcoming?
Upcoming, not as I'm gonna actually, I have well, you and I are going to be doing something in March. And then there's another thing in March, we're going to be educating teachers and caregivers about mindfulness. So there's a bunch of people I'm working around the country with raising awareness with mindfulness in the schools. So that's something in March. And retreat sometime in August in Costa Rica.
Boom, I dig.
We'll dive into this healing work, and it'll be a whole week.
Yes, absolutely, yes. All right, tell the people how they can reach you, Ali. What platforms are you on? How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so the easiest, I don't know if you want to attach it but
yeah, I can put it in the description.
But my website is You Thrive, which is like the letter U, and then Thrive by Alison, ALISON.com.
Boom, and You Thrive.
Yeah, and then like my email, which you have, or myself, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
Boom. I'm going to make sure that I put all of that in the description below. So if Ali's story of energy healing has resonated with you and you'd like to connect with her directly, just go to the description box below and you'll be able to find all of her contact information there. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified every time I upload. It has really been a pleasure, Ali, having you here with me today. Thank you so very much. We are just like, man, just our souls are so love you so much, like just connected so much. Until the next video, this is Dr. Lori with Still Whole Wellness, where healing happens every single day. I will see you guys on the next video. Until then, you guys be well and at peace. Bye-bye.